All right, and we're back with Sammy again. It's part 4 of our multi-part epic. Today is February 28th, Wednesday, 2024. Did I get that right?
Yes, indeed.
All right. So where do we want to start, or where do we want to pick up our tale of our main protagonist, Sammy? I think we were discussing starting the story when you arrived at sports camp in your stint in the Army. Can you paint us a quick picture what year this is, how old you are, and what the world looks like for you at the moment?
Well, I think as far as the timing goes, it was about mid or end of April of 1966, just beginning of spring, which would help me to get out there just in time. So when I arrived to Arkhangelsk, where the Sport Club of Army was located, I found that I was all by myself, kind of traveling in military uniform right across the city and whatnot, having some people looking at me, because when usually the soldiers in uniform don't go by themselves. Mind you, I have no weapons on me, so it wasn't that suspicious. It's just my placement in the city was not really something people got used to. Anyways, when I came to the sports club, I found the place where it was located, where quarters, and that's about it. They signed me in, took me in, and for the first few days, just getting acclaimed or acclimated. We're getting familiar with the guys in my sports club, when getting familiar with guys in my actually weightlifting team.
So was everybody new, or did you know anyone when you arrived?
I didn't know anybody at all. Probably maybe one or two guys which I met when I went for qualifying competition, but I don't believe any of them were. I'm just drawing blank on that. I can't recall one way or another.
So wait, so how long did you spend in the actual town by yourself, or just passing through?
Well, I just passed through. When I got off a train, I just took a bus where I was supposed to go, the city bus, and walked the rest of the way. It wasn't that long.
Okay.
No.
So you arrive at sports camp. It's springtime. You're happy to be out of the previous, 6 months?
No, not 6. It actually was 3 months at that hellhole.
Okay.
Because the first month I spent in boot camp, which wasn't at the same location as it.
So were you super happy to leave that place, or you still were a bit leery about where you were winding up?
Well, two concerns. I was really happy to get out of that place. I did not know how long I would be accepted in the sports club, because obviously it depended on performance and how the stuff would work out. If it did not work out, I might have ended up right where I started.
So you had no guarantees that you were going to stay there?
Oh, no.
In your mind?
No.
So you were thinking to yourself, you better lift some weights real good.
Well, I knew I was going to try my best. If it's going to be good enough or not, I had no clue at the time.
So you didn't even have a clue of what you needed, like what kind of lifts you had to do? You had no basis of comparison? You were just kind of hoping for the best?
Yeah, I just hoping for the best. I was hoping to improve my PBs. And
that's personal bests for all you listeners out there.
Yes. And I hope it will be good enough, because I didn't even know what kind of competition I will be against, if we have guys in my weight category in the same camp or not. But still, it was a very welcome change for me.
Okay.
Even if it did not last long.
So you showed up. So what were the facilities like? What were the quarters like? Was it a vast improvement over the old?
It was vast improvement. Unfortunately, it did not last. It was good old brick building, two-story building, which actually housed not just the sport club, but was another, I would say, military unit on the main floor. I said it did not last much because did not last long because a few days later, in the spring of 1966, was a huge earthquake in Tashkent. The city was practically destroyed, and the reason I mention that because a lot of army engineered subdivisions, people who build stuff, or military units which build stuff, were sent to Tashkent actually to restore it. Because of that, one of his military units had a barracks next to the airport in Arkhangelsk. So they vacated those premises, and for some reason somebody made a decision to separate sport club from all other units and house it in that flop house, as I call it, because it wasn't really a good place compared to the first couple of weeks.
So earthquake or Americans?
No, it was earthquake.
It's a joke.
I know.
All right. Okay, so earthquake, you moved locations after a little bit.
Yeah, after a little bit to move location, there was no training facilities around there, so we 3 times a week at least we used to go to the city. We trained at university gym. When we had a couple other gyms we were allowed to go to, so that's where we started training. And I found out with actually quite a few guys, and weightlifting team specifically was decent people, from my point of view anyway, and we got along pretty well. We made a cohesive unit, and because of that, most of the guys left us alone.
So did you guys do any army type stuff, or was it mostly just living and training, and what else? What kept you busy? What did you do during the days?
Well,
and were you in uniform?
Yes, so we were in uniform, but that would be something I get back to later on.
Okay.
Yeah, we still did some basic military duty, not military duty as such, not like going to the firing ranges or doing some military training, marching and whatnot, but we still had to do some chores. So we have a rotation, like serving in the mess hall, cleaning the mess hall after, stuff like that. It was coming on rotation basis. There were a few other units stationed at the same location in the different barracks, but there was about 3 or 4 units simultaneous.
How's the food?
Food was, can I say?
You could say whatever you like. This is not censored.
Food was, let's say, crappy, but because of sport club had some additional food items specifically for sports people, like condensed milk, canned meat, stuff like that, in addition to the basic fare.
Steroid shakes?
No, not there. Not yet.
We'll get to that later.
Let me rephrase it. I don't know what was in it.
Okay, that's fair.
But it was all packaged stuff. It was not that made in the same kitchen as the rest of the food was.
Okay.
So that helped.
So the food was mediocre but plentiful?
Food was mediocre. I would not call it plentiful, but it was sufficient enough with these additional items, which we got at the envy of everybody else around. But
was it just a sports club for weightlifting, or were there other sports?
No, that was actually quite big sports club. Probably more than 100 people, maybe 120. We had a full soccer team. We had track and field team. We had a wrestling team, just to mention a few. So yeah, all in all, was, I would say, more than 100 people.
Okay, so it's kind
different
of like
sports.
Olympic type sports, it sounds like.
Most likely, yes, because our sports were not really very popular in Russia at that time.
Okay. All right, so how you were there for 2.5 years roughly. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it sounds just about right.
And How long did it take you after you arrived to figure out you're going to be there for an extended period of time? Because you said you were a little concerned about whether you're going to stay or not.
Yeah, once I had to look around and after my first competitions were at a regional level, I realized that I'm basically on the level with best of lifters in my weight category were. So when I became a little bit more assured that I'm going to stay there.
You earned your spot.
Yes.
Do you remember any of your lifts at all?
Well, I do remember some of my lifts. I remember my best results. I remember that, but that did not come right away. It came after 2.5 years, at the end of 2.5 years.
Do you remember what you started at and what you wound up lifting, or is that way too far back and way too much detail to recall?
I believe it on qualifying competition. My shoulder press was about 85 kilos, and it ended up with 105.
So you went from 85
to 105
for shoulder press. So shoulder press, for all you listeners out there, you'll find unfamiliar in the current state of the world of weightlifting, which consists of 2 lifts currently, clean and jerk and snatch. But back in the day, apparently there was something called shoulder press. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about what that is? Because most people would never have seen that or heard of it.
Well, if people want to see it, all we can do, just look at the Olympic Games competition of early 1960s, because or mid 1960s, because I believe shoulder press was abolished in the early 1970s.
So the shoulder press, you're standing upright. The bar starts on your chest.
Well, you still have to lift the bar off the floor.
Okay, so you lift it off the floor, get it to your chest.
Yes.
And is that a clean? That's the clean movement?
Well, the first movement is clean because the weight is not the same as we do actually clean and jerk.
It's a lot easier.
It's easier. You don't have to go to a deep squat to.
Okay, so the clean is quite easy, and then you're standing there with the weight on your chest.
On my shoulders.
On your shoulders. So yeah, sure. In front of you.
Yes.
And then you have to get it above your head without, I believe, your feet can't move. And your knees can't bend. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
My feet should not leave the ground.
Okay.
And the knees cannot be bent.
Right. So you're essentially punching the weight up with your shoulders as much as you can and using technique as much as strength.
Yes.
It's not a slow movement.
No. Slow movement doesn't work. With a specific technique how to do it without breaking the rules.
Right.
And one of the reasons it was abolished eventually because too many people managed to break rules without referees actually noticing, because it was done very quickly.
So like arching your back?
Arching back is not a problem. It was not against the law.
Okay.
But bending your knees was. Also, the bar once bar start moving, it's supposed to move in without stopping.
Okay.
So there's a few different things, and I know that the main reason it was abolished because it was really hard to judge, because there was no instant replay at the time. There was nothing
you could review. There's some black magic involved.
I wouldn't call it black, but
dark
it's
arts.
Yes.
Okay, so. Okay, I'm sure. I think that's probably enough about the shoulder press. So, what was your strongest event? What was your favorite event out of the 3?
My favorite event was clean and jerk.
That's the two-step procedure for all you amateurs out there.
Yes, it is. And one of the reasons was because I had really strong legs compared to the rest of people competing with me in my weight category. Just to say that my legs were actually was a world-class level. My back was some in middle range, and my biggest problem was grip. Small hands, small short fingers. But because I could manage get up from a deep squat with a heavy weight,
so your clean was good.
Clean was good, and my jerk was good because it's also legs.
Right. So the clean and jerk was your favorite because it suited your body type well.
My
your
body
strength.
type and my strength points, yes.
Okay. So do you remember any of your weights for snatch or clean and jerk?
Yes, I do. My best in snatch was 105 kilos. My best clean and jerk was 135 kilos. Mind you, I never managed to put it all in the same competition in the sum, but that was my personal best.
And the competitions back then was it combined? All three combined, or was there individual events?
Was individual events, but the most important was a total of 3 movement.
Total three weights combined. And has it always been done in kilos? Even currently, is it always done in kilos, and then people convert to pounds if they feel like it? But it's officially all.
It's officially all kilos because it's sport not originated in North America.
Sure.
It's European sport mostly, and kilos was always, as far as I remember.
Okay. All right. So, weightlifting, eating condensed milk. What else did you guys do for fun over those 2.5 years? What are some key points in your time there? So you would have been out of there in '69. Is that about right?
I got out of there in November on 68.
68.
So I basically spent almost 3 years in the army because I was drafted in January on 66.
So what are some of the highlights? Do you remember some of the fun times?
Yes, I do. We had a couple of guys in our team, local kids from Arkhangelsk. We had a little bit more freedom of movement. We could get out of our barracks at any time. It was not really officially allowed, but we managed to do that. We actually even had some civilian clothes stashed up, so we could always change and get out of a back door, get to the bus, and get into town.
So you snuck out a lot.
Yes.
Like how frequently are we talking here?
I would be talking probably once, twice a week.
Once or twice a week. Was everyone doing this, or was this just your group of
No,
friends?
it was, our group did it more than most because we had a couple of local guys in our team. So we go to their places, to their families, had dinner together.
And you were what, 1920-ish at the time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was drafted at 19, so I was still 19 and at 1966 summer.
Some of the local boys, you'd meet their families, you'd have dinner. Come on, what kind of trouble did you get into? So far, this is very after school special here.
Well, we did get in kind of trouble.
This is the Soviet army. There must be some trouble.
There was some trouble. So it's kind of self-created trouble because of a local guys have some connection to the local sports association. The local sports association usually created some training camps for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, but you could go to specific place and train with specific coaches and whatnot. And we managed to get invitation from them for these camps.
So this was not through official army channels?
It was not army, it was local.
Right, but I mean, that was not allowed by the army? It seems like very...
No, it was allowed because as long as we had official invitation, the army gave us go ahead to go.
So you got official invites from the local sports academies?
Yeah, sports association,
to train and compete?
To train with them somewhere. Obviously, instead of going there, that was our excuse to get out. I managed to get to Leningrad twice.
Oh, I see. You use these invitations to not actually train, but to disappear for a few days at a time.
For the break.
Okay.
With my disappearance, I had to take a plane from Arkhangelsk to Leningrad.
So under the guise of training with a local sports association,
yes.
You got on a plane and went to Leningrad.
Yeah, went to visit my family, I needed a change of scenery.
So what?
And it was definitely totally illegal.
Did you ever get caught?
Yes.
And what what was the punishment?
I can go into some details on that because I was caught on a second trip like that. The first trip went with no problems at all. We came back on time when the sport cups were supposed to be ending, and I was back in the buttocks.
How many days? How many days were you gone?
I think it was about a week and a half or so.
A week and a half. So then you thought you'd try again a few weeks or a few months later, sort of thing?
Basically, it happened, happened about maybe 6 to 8 months after that, second time.
So how'd you get caught?
Well, it was one of the guys who gave us the invitation, the local guy. He decided to get married, and his father was against his marriage. So his father went to the local military authority because the wedding was supposed to be Sunday. He went complain on Friday, saying what my son doing home when he has to be in the army. So do something about it. Unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, the wedding went ahead because the military authority didn't do anything until Monday.
So you got caught because of your friend's dad's objection to his wedding, essentially.
To his son's wedding,
To his son's wedding, yeah.
Because how it happened...
What was the objective? Why did he object?
I have no idea, no.
That sounds like a story in itself.
Yeah, it probably was. I don't know. Maybe his age, maybe something he was still in that. I don't know in details.
So did you get thrown into some sort of slammer?
No. Well, it wasn't... It's simple because the whole thing started once we picked up with guy. We asked where he's supposed to be. He was supposed to be in Severomorsk, now on the training camp with us.
Say that again?
There's a place north of Arkhangelsk called Severomorsk.
I'll take your word for it.
Yes. And that's where we were supposed to be trained. That's where the camp was supposed to take place. And once we started digging, who else supposed to be with this guy? So my name came up, and another guy's name came up who was actually in Moscow at the time. So I went to St. Petersburg, he went to Moscow. So halfway through our time away, we got a telegram from one of our buddies.
A telegram?
Yeah, well.
So wait, talk to me. How does a telegram find its way to you when you're in Leningrad, for example?
My home address.
So a telegram shows. So who delivers this telegram?
Post office.
So it comes in the form of a letter.
It comes in the form
not an
of
official army guy shows up with a note.
No. That's not has nothing to do with army. One of my buddies who was in the same team sent us a telegram saying, "Get back right away."
Oh, I see. Okay, it was a warning telegram to get your ass back.
Yeah, as soon as possible. So we dropped everything. Myself and a buddy from Moscow. We came back, but by that time, authority already knew that we were not where we were supposed to be.
Right. So essentially, that was the text message of the day.
Well, it was text message for the day, except it was no phones. But it was the fastest service available.
So So just for how long would it have taken for you to get the letter? Like within a day?
Or no, it happens in hours.
A couple of hours.
Yeah, it reaches the post office within hours, but how soon it gets from the post office to you, that's...
Sure. Okay, so you get this telegram.
Yeah.
Then what?
Jumped on the plane, or first one available.
Did you panic?
Well, I didn't know what happened, it just was...
It just said, get back
right away.
Okay.
So once I get back, I found out what happened, but by that time, we already been under the suspicion, let's say, or under investigation by military authority.
Because of this incident, or
because of this incident? Because I was, myself and my buddy from Moscow, we both interviewed separately.
After you got back?
After we got back. The interview was captain, which had pilot insignia, but he was KGB.
So you got interviewed by a KGB agent.
KGB captain. Military captain. Youngish guy. And what he was trying to
Yeah, what was the line of questioning? What
The
was the
line of
general
questioning
theme?
was his assumption or his line of inquiry was because it was late in the it was I think it was either November or December. Arkhangelsk was frozen by that time. The river was frozen, and he implied that I went to Leningrad because Leningrad we still have open sea and open port. And at the time I've signed the going back a little bit, when I get on that hell of help, I had to sign a paper saying I supposed to keep a military secret for 7 years related to that anti-aircraft rocket division. So he implied that because I had access to some kind of secrets, I went to St. Petersburg, to Leningrad, because there was still some.
Because the Gulf of Finland was open enough for you to
Yeah,
get
because
some
there
sort of
still be
messages.
some possibility for me to do something against the country.
So he was accusing you of the possibility of some sort of espionage.
Yes.
Okay, so then what? So
I totally denied it. And he told me that my friend from Moscow already admitted it, which I said, it's exactly what happened. That's the methodics which been used for ages.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it's just the Soviets.
Oh, no, it's not. But at the end of the day, I think his heart was not in it. He kind of realized that he will not gain any promotions or any.
He wasn't going to break you.
It's not going to break it. He's not going to benefit from me in any way which benefits him. So I think he dropped the case. And the only sequence for us after that was we were not allowed to any training camps anymore.
Outside of the
army facility, outside of facility in town.
Right.
But we could not get any more invitation from local sport.
So that's the last time you snuck out anywhere?
Yes.
That's the last time you tried? Or did you try some more?
No, I didn't try some more because the only way for us to sneak out was to get official invitation, which was accepted by the army.
Okay, so you realized the gig was up.
Yes.
Okay, so you spent the next year or so locally.
Just about, it was just about another 12 months. And maybe because of that, I was supposed to be discharged from the army way before the fall of 1968, because that was when we changed the service length from 3 years to 2 years, right after we got drafted. So some guys who actually got drafted after me been discharged already.
So they punished you by keeping you there an extra few months.
And the excuse was because there was a inter-army competition taking place in November. So me and my buddy from Moscow at the top, staying until November, so we could participate in that competition.
Was your buddy also a good weightlifter?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so it seems like it was quite beneficial for them to keep you around longer, and they had an excuse to do so.
Oh yes, we had a very good excuse, and I couldn't really say much. Well, couldn't say nothing really because that wasn't my call. It's actually punished me in another way because when I got discharged from the army in the end of November 1968, I couldn't get to university anymore. It was too late. August or September was cut off. So I missed another year before I could go back to continue my study.
Do you think that was on purpose?
I don't believe it was on purpose, but it
was just a bad coincidence.
Just bad timing because the competition we were sent to took place in November, and that's we said we kept us until then.
So are there other noteworthy events, shenanigans of any kind, or at the army, or did you kind of already go through everything?
No, that was about it. That was about it. The highlight of it all was my 2 attempts. My 2 trips back to Leningrad without, basically was what we call now AWOL.
AWOL. So you were batting 500.
Yes.
Okay, well, That's not bad, I guess.
Well, even more than that, because second time I still managed to spend few
That's
days
true.
there.
That's true. You did spend part of the trip there.
Yeah.
All right.
And another highlight was with the last competition in November, because it was took place in Tashkent, a city which was destroyed by earthquake and was rebuilt in a very short time.
Is that the one that you got your personal best at?
One of them, yes.
One of them.
Yeah, I got the well, unfortunately, I had an unfortunate accident at the warm-up. I twisted my ankle, so I had to freeze it and compete with frozen ankle, which was not too much fun. But anyway, I managed to get my personal best in clean and jerk, but not in shoulder press and snatch.
Gotcha. So those black and white photos we have, those were early in the Army days. Is that right? That wasn't towards the end?
No, it was not. But all black and white photos was actually photo from my qualifying competitions in the first few months. Actually, my first competition in the Army when I went from Hell Hall to Arkhangels just for a few days.
Oh, so that's not even in the new sports facility?
No.
That's before the sports facility?
It was before I get called to sports club.
Okay. All right. I think we covered all the Army stuff, yeah?
Just about.
All right. Shall we move on to when you became a civilian again in the fall of 68?
Yes, in the fall of 68, I was discharged from the Army.
And you got back too late to start the fall semester.
Yeah, my intention was always that I would have to continue my education because I have a technical college diploma, but I knew I had to go and continue on with a university degree. So I missed a year, but I got a job pretty soon after I came back, probably within weeks.
Before you tell me about the job, you said you were going to say something about uniforms, but we forgot. What were you going to... Remember I asked you about uniforms earlier on in this chat?
Oh, yeah, no, that was a part of a thing, because when we...
That was part of you going AWOL?
Part of going AWOL, and it was also part of us sneaking out in town, because we didn't go to town in our uniform. We changed and went out through the back door in civilian clothes.
Okay, I thought there was more stories surrounding the uniforms, but...
No, just because it was very unusual for the military unit to have some guys to store the civil clothes somewhere.
Sure.
In the barracks, actually.
Where'd you guys hide your clothes?
We had a place where all the supplies and clothes were held, and we found the corner where we could put them on. And I don't think it was unknown to the command of our...
Was everyone sneaking out? It's like even the commanders, everyone would sneak out?
Commanders don't have to sneak out. Officers are fine.
Officers can do what they want?
Yeah. Officers are fine. We're not chained to that barracks. We don't need anybody's permission. We live in town. We did not live in the barracks.
Right.
So we could come and go. So for them, it was just a job. It's for us who were serving with 3-year sentence.
Right.
It wasn't a job anymore.
Okay. So sentence up, back in Leningrad, you found yourself a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, I found a job actually. That was when I was in technical college. I told you that on the 4th year we sent us to work as an iron worker or to site, and that's a company actually I went to see if they can take me after I was discharged from the army. And they took me in the same position as we were supposed to get after graduating from the technical college.
So
I would have taken that place if I would not be drafted.
So you're 20?
Yeah,
20.
I was 22.
22, you got yourself a job as an iron worker again, and you worked
No,
there?
no, not as iron worker. I found a job in construction bureau at the same company.
Oh, not back to the same stuff you were doing before.
Oh, no. The stuff I was doing before was just a practice for us.
It was a practicum.
Yes.
Got it. So then you would have worked that winter and the following summer until you started university?
No, I worked with, when I got into university the next fall, that was the evenings. I still had full-time job. I had full-time job and I studied in the evening 5 days a week from something like 5:30 until 10 p.m. So that's one of the reasons why I stopped training, because for the first year I was still went back to my old weightlifting club where I started and trained there for a bit.
Any more competitions that year?
Yes, there were some competitions, but unfortunately it was not, didn't work out too well, because when I came back from the army, switched from army food to homemade food, I gained too much weight very quickly. So I had to go to the next weight category. I was not ready for it.
You put on some pounds.
I did put some pounds on, yes.
What weight were you competing at?
I competed 60 kilos weight. I don't think that weight category exists anymore. I think we changed it to 62.
So you competed at 60, and then after the home cooking, you ballooned up to what?
I ballooned up to 65, 66. Actually, my walk-around weight when I competed at 60 was 62. So I always have to drop a couple of kilos before the competition.
So you cut weight for every competition?
Yes, I did. But I could cut 1.5 kilos, 2 kilos, but not 5 or 6. I had to.
What are we talking? A lot of sweating?
Yeah, basically.
Running, sweating.
No running. Just
Saunas?
Sauna, scraping the sweat off yourself and not eating or drinking much.
Were weigh-ins the day before or the morning of typically?
The weigh-in was few hours before the competition.
Few hours before?
Yes.
That doesn't sound healthy.
It doesn't sound healthy, but to me it sounds more honest compared to the weights in other sports. When I know it's here, we could wait a day before the competition.
No, that's fair.
Which means absolutely nothing by the competition day.
Right.
You could gain 15, 20 pounds. You could stand on a scale totally dehydrated and compensate with it. You cannot do it if it's wait in just a few hours before competition.
No, that makes sense. So once you started school the following fall, you had no time for weightlifting, so then you basically just quit?
Yeah, I basically just stopped. I tried to combine all three for a bit, but it just didn't work out. It just wasn't enough time.
Weightlifting had to go.
Yeah, something had to go, and it happened to be weightlifting.
So the work, where were you living when you came back?
Same places we lived when I left for the army. It's Rakova.
So you were living with your dad?
Yes and no, because he got. Oh yeah, sorry, no. Yeah, with my dad and his wife, we had 2 rooms in the communal apartment. So one room was for me, the bigger room was for them. And that's going to be another story about her eventually, which did not end up well. But I was living with my dad and with his wife number 3.
And what was her name again?
Nina.
Nina
Isakovna. A very good woman.
Okay. So you were working, you were living there. What kind of fun stuff did you get up to? Is that following summer before you started university when you started hanging out at Petropalovka?
Petropalovka was actually even before army. It was one of my favorite spots. In summertime I was trying to get as much time as well. We had good friends coming up and we had good company.
So from what I know about Petropalovka means Peter and Paul's Cathedral, and in front of which was a beach.
It's not really cathedral, it's
fortress.
It was a Peter and Paul fortress.
Fortress.
That's where the city of St. Petersburg started. On one of the islands, we built up a fortress. Just to go back for a second, St. Petersburg was established in the delta of Neva River, and it's about 100 to 101 island, which eventually became part of a city.
Yeah, they started building St. Petersburg or Leningrad back in 1703 or something like
1703,
that.
yes.
03. Oh, wow.
That considered be
I'm
official.
quite impressed with myself because I was a guess.
Okay, no, that was official date of beginning of building.
Okay, so they built the fortress, and it was on the delta where the Neva River opens up into the Gulf of Finland.
Correct.
And that fortress, if I recall, I have some vague memories of it a little bit as well from my childhood. But I've seen photos of you there as well in your youth, and it just looked like one of the nicer beaches in town.
Well, it was the only beach in
It
town.
was the only beach in town.
Well, to get to our beaches, you have to get out of town to the Bay of Finland. Actually, there are some beautiful beaches there, but you have to take a train. I spent quite a bit of time there as well, any chance I get, because I loved playing beach volleyball. And there's another attraction for me at Petropavlovka, because when you were asking what else did I learn from my army, I learned playing card game called Preference.
I thought you were about to say you learned how to smoke.
That was before that.
That was before the army. Okay, so you learned how to play Preference.
Yes.
How do the Russians say it?
Preference.
So it's the French word.
Supposed to be, but I was trying to find out about origin of the games. I couldn't.
Couldn't figure it out?
No. But anyways, it is quite interesting game, and we found out a group of people which we play with regularly. Petropavlovka was one of the places. We played on the beach.
Is there money involved? Is this a gambling game?
It's not a gambling or money involved. It's like bridge.
That doesn't tell me much. I'm not exactly a bridge expert.
It's not poker.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not poker.
So money is not necessary to play the game.
Well, to a certain degree is, but it doesn't have to be a lot of money. The reason being because if you don't have any responsibility, like you could lose some money even if it's small amount, you could really spoil a game for yourself and your partners by doing things which you wouldn't be doing. You can't justify if you're going to pay for it.
Okay, so you played cards, you suntanned,
Yes.
and you played volleyball and smoked.
Yes.
Okay. Was there any chasing of the girls?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Was there any catching of the girls?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's the same as everybody else in my age at that time.
What else went down at Petropavlovka? What other kinds of activities? Like, was it families? Was it packed? Was it pretty sparse?
No, it was always very busy. People were coming from all ends of the city because it was only beach in town. And as a matter of fact, as far as I know, it's one of the very few, if not the only one, beach in a big city in Europe at a historical center of a city.
That makes sense. What about winter? That place was used in winter, I think, right? Didn't people cut holes in the ice and go?
Oh yeah, but that's not necessarily a wet place.
Okay.
Yes.
But I thought it was. I thought I remember you telling me stories that it was near there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just because it was a beach, even if it's under the snow, it's still a place to change, a place to put your stuff on, or something like that.
What about chess? I haven't asked you about chess. When did chess become part of your life?
The chess became part of my life at a very young age, actually. I started playing chess when I was maybe 6-7 years old.
Who did you play with? Who taught you?
Honestly, I can't recall. I know my dad played a bit of chess, so I would guess it might have been him who introduced me to it.
So who did you play against then?
I don't remember about anybody who could play. Actually, there was one kind of distant friend of a family, the elder gentleman, We haven't met. We did not meet all that often, but when every time we did, I played chess with him.
Okay. Did you play? You must have played before the army quite a bit as well when you were in like elementary school and junior high.
Oh yeah.
Did you play? Did you play at the technical college? Did you play at the army?
Well, to go back again, we're kind of going back and forth.
I just, for some reason chess just popped into my head because I know
Yes.
you play chess, but we haven't talked about it yet in any of the episodes.
Well, it's actually when I was a place, was quite a few different chess clubs actually in the city. When I was maybe 11 or 12 years old, there was a place called Dvorец Пионеров, Pioneers Palace in Leningrad, which has had very good chess, chess club, which was led by some of very best chess teachers in the city. So I went there by myself, decided, I don't remember who did I hear from about it, who told me about it. I went in and I just signed up. And I was a member of that club for a few years. And it wasn't just playing, it was teaching, it was theoretical lessons and stuff like that. It was regular competitions within the club as well. So that's where I learned most of what I know about chess. And I played on occasion anywhere I could.
Okay. There's another thing that we haven't talked about yet, and that's table tennis, ping pong. Something that you do currently on a regular basis, but this all started in the Soviet Union, if I'm not mistaken.
It's all started before the army. The place with my father's wife, number 3, lived in her, what do they call it, Budvaria in the yard. There was a place, it was a
Courtyard.
And it was table tennis. It was table there. Not the best quality table, but a good table nevertheless for us. And that's where I learned to play. With the kids from the building.
So how old did you have been at the time, roughly?
Probably 16. Yeah, 15, 16, because when my mom passed away, I was 15. And my father remarried shortly after. So I must have been around 16.
Did you ever compete in ping pong?
I did not compete.
I thought I had vague memories of you being in a tournament of some sort for ping pong when in the Soviet Union.
Was, but that was late. It was after the army.
Right.
What else helped me actually when I was in the army? In that sport club, we had a group of table tennis players, actually at quite high level. We had 2 tables we put in the barracks. And when we did not practice, we played. So I played quite a bit of table tennis in the army and improved significantly, so I could say. And when I came back from the army, I didn't have a chance to play much until later. But that's gonna be...
That's a story for another time?
Maybe, because what happened when I found a job in a company and I was studying at university, started next year. My next 5 years after the army was extremely short on free time, as you can imagine. On top of it, if you remember, I got married.
I do recall. I've heard.
Yes, you've heard about
in
it.
Fact,
when you were born.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, I believe, was your 53rd wedding anniversary.
Yes, it was February 26th.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I was born, if I'm not mistaken, roughly 9 months later.
Something like that, yes, okay. November.
Okay, so we covered a lot of stuff today. We're already almost an hour in, and I think we're about to start on your story of university.
Yes.
So why don't we leave it there and pick up when you start your college career.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Till next time.
Shri Singa, Janri Singa, Jaya Janri Singa, Prahladesha Jaya Padma Mukta Padma Bringam, Shri Singa, Janri Singa, Jaya Janri Singa, Prahladesha Jaya Padma Mukta Padma Bringam.